This is a video from Paul Guga. It's called 7 Habits Beginner Lifters Must Avoid. So let's get into it.
A lot of beginners handicap their progress by building the wrong habits early. I made every single mistake that I'm about to share with you. If you want to go from zero to hero, you must understand these 7 habits to avoid at all costs. You might not even realize that the things you're doing are working against your goals.
7, 8, 9, 10.
As a beginner, the most important thing you can do is build your base. That's the entire mission. You build your foundation by training a diverse range of exercises and rep ranges. Emphasis on diverse. You want lots of variety in your training. I don't know why, but for some...
Yeah, I don't think that's true at all. I think as a beginner, you really need to focus on building a base level of strength. You need to take a few basic exercises and become really good at them through repetition. And you can't really do that if you're constantly changing your exercises and trying to diversify everything all the time. You just can't get the reps in. You can't get the volume in, which you need for that neuromuscular adaptation to develop. When it comes to basic exercises like squat, bench press, rows, things like that, you need to do the same exercise over and over again with the same form to develop that skill in being able to do the exercise efficiently. And that means doing the reps over and over and over again. So you need to stick to some basic exercises when you first start out and just do them every week, week in, week out, and get good at them until you hit a wall with strength progression. And then maybe try changing things up then. But until you stop that first bit of progression, as a beginner lifter, you can ride that out for quite a while if you stick to some basic exercises and just hit them hard every week and focus on them. There's no need to be changing things up right at the start. Maybe once you become more advanced, yeah, that is a thing. You know, changing up exercises can benefit your training once you've stagnated after a while. But when you're first beginning, you just need the repetitions of some basic staple exercises. So I don't really agree with him on this first point.
For some reason, we've all become obsessed with 3 sets of 12. It's just a part of lifting culture at this point. There's nothing inherently wrong with 3 sets of 12, but it's not the end-all be-all. You want to build your base as wide as possible. So that means you have to use the entire spectrum of rep ranges. The majority of your training should be in that 6 to 12 range, but some exercises should go heavier and some should go lighter. You can say the same about form as well. There's a time and place for horsing the weight around, and there's a time and place for using a little extra control.
Okay, that form is doing there on the cable rows. That's not a good idea to be like relaxing it and stretching forward like so quickly and then yanking it straight back. You can get away with that for a while. Might be able to get away with that for years with that sort of form, but at some point, your lower back's going to go. It's going to tweak, something's going to happen, and you're going to regret being so loose with your form on such a vulnerable exercise for your lower back. I mean, if you look at your body mechanics on a cable row like that, on a horizontal cable row, it's basically like you're standing up and you're bent over at a 90-degree angle. Your back is in a very vulnerable position, so there should be no yanking, there should be no relaxing with the weight when you're letting it down and just like moving all the way forward quickly and then yanking it from the bottom. That's how bad things happen to your back. I know because I injured my lower back years ago and it's never been the same since. And I think most people would agree that once you've had a bad lower back injury, it stays with you for the rest of your lifting career. So a lot better to avoid rather than deal with it once it's happened.
You want to have a little bit of both, but of course, lean towards good form. The worst thing you can do as a beginner lifter is specialize right away, immediately becoming a power lifter or locking yourself into one rigid way of training. Try everything. Do some weighted calisthenics, some powerlifting, some bodybuilding, low volume, high volume.
Right, so where's the progression in this? With trying all these different things, when you're just starting out, where is the progression? You're not going to progress in any of these things. You're just going to be jumping from one thing to the next after a few weeks. So, no, this is terrible advice for a beginner lifter. You're not going to be making progression. You'll be making some progression because it's better than doing nothing. It's better than what you were doing before, which is probably sitting on your ass every night on the sofa, being sedentary. And yeah, doing any sort of training, even if it is changing all the time, will be beneficial, but it's nowhere near the most efficient or effective way to start training once you get into training, because it's just I don't see what he's getting at here. What's the benefit of diversifying your training so much right at the start? I mean, so you can find out what works for you. But I mean, if you start training, I assume most people have a certain goal, and that's why they've started training, whether it's to build muscle or to just become fit or to get leaner. So you do the most efficient way of training to get to that goal. So, if you want to build muscle, you should train like a bodybuilder. You shouldn't be training CrossFit or training like a power lifter or doing calisthenics if your goal is to get as big as possible, as fast as possible. It doesn't make any sense. What's the benefit in diversifying your training so much when you've got a specific goal, which I think most people do have? You don't just start the gym and think, I just want to start training because I don't know, let's just see what happens, and I don't really have a goal. I think most people do have a certain goal when they start training, and you should train for that specific goal. That just makes sense to me.
Want to get your lay of the land. If you specialize right away, your base will be too narrow and it will inevitably come back to bite you. Once you're out of the novice stage, you'll have plenty of time to dive deep into whatever style you want. Power building is the practice.
Yeah, and it's going to take you longer to get out of the novice stage if you're doing what he says, which is spreading yourself across all these different types of training right from the start. It's going to take you, well, however many different types of training you try, it's going to take you that many times longer to get to a certain strength level or a certain place that you want to be, because you're chopping and changing all the time.
This of combining powerlifting and bodybuilding. It gets a lot of hate online, and I don't agree. Powerbuilding is amazing. Start each workout with 1 to 2 heavier exercises and then spend the rest of your time rounding out your physique. Heavy training builds strength and teaches you how to control your body under load. Bodybuilding work will just help you pack on more size. When in doubt, just get more jacked. It will help with any future goals. That's why bodybuilders become so strong when they start training for strength. They've built their muscular base. Power building works for novices, intermediates, and even advanced lifters. But that's a video for another day.
Come on!
Beginners are obsessed with finding the perfect program, as if the perfect magical routine will solve everything. You could have the best program in the world, custom built by CBUM, and it won't mean anything if you're performing the exercises poorly. The program matters, I won't deny that, but the execution matters more. There's a difference between doing a set just to check a box, just to say that you did it, and doing a set in order to get the most out of it. I've reviewed hundreds of form videos at this point, and it's fairly easy to tell the difference. The funniest thing for me is when I'm watching a video of someone lifting and they just randomly hit failure. They'll be doing chest supported rows or something, and they'll fail at the bottom of the rep. If you were gonna fail a row, it wouldn't be at the very bottom. That's the easiest part. All that tells me is you're probably not giving it your best effort. Don't get too bogged down by the reps and sets.
Yeah, that's true. It's very rare you see someone in the gym that's going to pushing a set to true failure. Most people, when you look around the gym, if you just spend a couple of minutes looking around how people are doing the sets, you'll notice that there's not really any difference of the first rep in the set and the last rep of the set. They look the same, and they shouldn't look the same. Well, the first rep of your set is going to be easy, obviously, because you're nowhere near muscular failure, so you should be able to perform it relatively easily. And obviously, the further you get towards failure, your rep speed should slow down, and it should get harder to perform the rep. Especially in those last few reps, those last 5 or so reps, it should become noticeably harder, and you should be able to see that in how the person is performing the reps. Even if it's just the expression on the person's face, it's hard to take a set even of a light exercise like reverse flies. Say if you're using a really lightweight, like 5 kilo dumbbell on each arm, if you're taking that to true muscular failure, then it takes effort. It's going to show in your face. You're going to start straining, and you can't just be like completely composed and just all the way like right, taking it all the way to fail. Right, squeeze on there, and just your face is just completely composed and normal. It's not. And even if you could do that, that's really weird. Why would you expend so much effort just to keep your face completely normal looking right to the end of a set? If you are doing that and you are taking it to true muscular failure, then I don't know how you're able to do that, because you're expending a lot of effort into keeping your face like that, because it's not normal. Think about when if you're lifting a heavy object in normal life, if you're pushing a piano up some stairs, it's going to show on your face. You're not going to be just like completely normal looking and heaving a piano like that, are you? It's weird. You're going to be like, it's going to show on your face. And it should show on your face when you're completing a hard set in the gym. Just look around and see how many people seem to be actually struggling on the last reps of the set. You're not going to see it. You might see one or two people in the gym, maybe. And those people will stand out once you notice this, because it's quite a rare thing.
You're not at the gym to complete a checklist. You're not at the grocery store. You're in the gym to grow. That one thing in the back of your mind which you really don't want to do, that's probably what you should be working on. For some of you, that will mean making the weight lighter and focusing on form. For others, it will mean making the weight heavier and not lifting like a science geek. Or it might mean doing rest pause so you can get a couple extra reps. Working out should never be a comfortable experience. I'm not saying it needs to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life, but when you're at the gym, they're called growing pains for a reason. It's painful.
Gonna be doing some planks now. And this is just gonna be a good example of how you should be executing these, not just planks, but any exercise in general. So we just get in position.
Okay, I've got to say, these planks are one of the most pointless exercises I see people doing in the gym. I don't know why people do them. I think most people do them because they think it's going to give them good abs, or they just do it for an ego thing to show off in the gym. Because a lot of the times it's a group of guys I see, a group of blokes doing it, and they're all sort of like facing each other on the floor, and they start doing it at the same time, and it seems to be like let's see who can last the longest, and whoever lasts the longest is, I don't know, they win. I don't know what they win, but it's like seems to be sort of a macho thing. Even though there's no real benefit for it, you're not contracting your abs, you're just statically holding the position, so it's not great for muscular development. If you want to develop your abs, then hanging leg raises are much better. Cable curls are a lot better. Anything where you're actually contracting your abs and going through the range of motion of relaxing and then contracting is infinitely better than doing a plank. So, yeah, if you want good abs, or if you want core strength, just do a normal exercise, which is contracting the muscle, like you would do with any other muscle in your body. If you wanted to grow your biceps, you wouldn't statically hold weight like that, would you? Extending your arms out and then just let the weight go. It'd be ridiculous, wouldn't it? So why would you do it for your abs?
So if you notice, my ass is a little bit higher and I'm crunching down slightly. If I do my planks like this, I actually feel it a lot more in my abs versus if I kind of extend like this. I don't get the same feeling when I extend. Ooh, it's hard to talk. And it's actually a little bit more specific for squats and deadlifts. A lot harder this way, but you have to keep the discipline. Thanks, bro.
You are gonna be okay?
I'll be careful.
Yeah.
The issue with going to a gym where everyone knows you is that sometimes it can be a little bit hard to film. But one thing I want you guys to remember is treat every set as if it's your last. Don't half-ass anything. I'm not talking about going to failure, but I'm talking about doing the right form, the proper execution, being focused, moving the weight as if it's heavy. Treat every single set as if it's the last set you're ever going to do in your life. If you have this kind of mentality with your workouts, you're going to see far more progress as a beginner.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think a lot of people don't really put much importance into each set they do. I don't know, I see people, they're on the phone, they'll just chuck the phone down and just jump straight into a set after like 1 second, 1 or 2 seconds, straight into it without any mental preparation or, seemingly completely unfocused. They just jump into it, like throw the weight about, then stop, pick up the phone and straight away, and then repeat and repeat and repeat, just like that. And I just don't see how people can train like that. I've always had the mindset where each set is of ultimate importance. It just, if you're not focused on the set, then why are you there in the gym? Everything's leading up to your working sets. All the nutrition that you've been focusing on through the week, hopefully. All your warm-ups in the gym is ending up towards that working set. It's all building towards that. All your training, all your researching of things online, about what's the best way to train, all these different things to do with training, lifting. It's all building towards that working set. That's where everything happens. Because if you're not putting in the effort in that working set, then everything's for nothing. That's where all the magic happens. If you're not putting the effort in that set, then you're just pretending the whole thing. You're just a pretender. And you might as well just go home, because you probably don't enjoy training, let's be honest. A lot of people don't enjoy training. I think they just go to the gym to, I don't know, maybe the mates go to the gym, so they do it to fit in, or they think they should be training because it's what other people do, so that's what they force themselves to do. But you need to learn to love it. You need to learn to associate the pain that you get in each set, towards the end of each set, with growth and with positivity. Because if you don't associate that discomfort and pain of a good quality working set with progress, then you're just going to see it as something you need to avoid, and you're always going to be trying to avoid it, and you're never going to make real progress.
I've noticed the pattern from talking to a lot of you guys in the comments and on Instagram. It's not necessarily that you're doing the wrong things with diet, you're just in too much of a rush. Whether bulking or cutting, beginners tend to go to extremes. Some of you bulk way too fast and convince yourselves that you're not getting fat. And some of you are in such a rush to cut that you lose a bunch of muscle and don't even look like you lift. Let's talk about both scenarios. If you're in a surplus, you are presumably trying to build muscle, right? Newsflash, buddy, building muscle is hard. It's fucking hard, man, especially if you're natural. As a beginner, it's a little bit easier, but it still takes time. If you've put on 15 pounds in 3 months, realistically, most of it is fat. Best case scenario, if everything is perfect, maybe 2 to 3 pounds of that will be muscle. Everything else will be fat and water. I'm all for being at a higher body fat. You guys know that's my shtick. But it should come naturally from gaining weight. You shouldn't try to get fat on purpose.
Yeah, I've got to say, when I first started training, I was just eating like an absolute beast. I think I read somewhere online that someone said that you should eat the amount of calories to support the body weight that you want to end up at. So basically, you should eat the calories for your goal size. Which seems absolutely insane saying that right now, but it seemed to make some sort of sense when I first started training. It was like, well, yeah, if you're giving your body all this food, then your body's going to think, oh, this is the amount of energy we're getting in every day, so I can build up to that size. Let's build the body to meet the demand, meet the amount of food that we've got coming in. But it doesn't work like that. You can't. You're taking in all this extra energy. You can only build muscle at a certain rate, okay? So all that extra energy that you're piling into your body every day is getting stored as fat, and you might not realise it when you first started training because you're building quite a bit of muscle. The quickest you ever will build muscle as a natural lifter when you first start training. So because you're getting the shape to your body at the same time as you getting fat, basically, it's hard to really notice that you're getting fat because you're just getting bigger. It just looks like you're getting bigger and bulkier, and you're just pleased with any sort of size. At least I was when I first started training, because I started out so skinny. So it's like any sort of size and bulk that I gained was a positive. And with the extra muscle, you don't really notice the fat. So you need to be careful when you first start training, because it's easy to end up at a point where you just realise, oh, yeah, I'm fat, and I didn't really realise it. And now I've got, I don't know, 2 stone, which is like 30 pounds for you American viewers to lose. And that's not an easy thing to do, especially when you just want to keep making progress as a beginner lifter. But now you've got to start dieting and putting not a halt to your progress, but it's going to put a big dampener on your progress if you're dieting for months. And that's not a fun thing to do. So I advise not doing it if you can avoid it.
Goal is to stay as lean as you reasonably can. Fat gain is just a natural consequence of gaining weight. Losing weight is the exact same, but in reverse. If you are extremely obese, like our friend Kyriakos Grizzly, you can cut weight pretty quickly and be perfectly fine. Most of you are not in that category, so don't try to get lean fast, because you will hit your goal weight, but you're just going to look skinny and sucked up like you've never even stepped foot in a gym. As a beginner, you are capable of building muscle and strength as you cut, so go into a moderate deficit. If you start to feel your energy levels decline, bump up the calories just a little bit. If you remember nothing else, just keep this in mind. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. This is how you need to be thinking about diet.
That's right, I agree.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, come on. Go ahead, kid. Fight. Fight.
If you've watched this far into the video, you probably like to work out, right? It's not a crazy statement. Training is the most important factor for your physique, but it's not the only one that matters. A lot of people have the idea that they're disciplined because they train all the time. I never miss a session. I'm always in the gym before work. If training is something that you like, then it doesn't really require discipline. You exercise your discipline when you do the things that you don't want to do. If you take a closer look at your life and habits, you'll realize that there's a lot of things you've been avoiding. Maybe you train hard, but you push too much and let your form fall apart. Maybe you have a terrible caffeine habit. You drink coffee and it affects your sleep, so you have to drink more coffee the next day, and it just leads to a cycle of bad recovery. Maybe you struggle to hit your calorie goals, and you know you need to eat breakfast, but you're too lazy to wake up 20 minutes earlier. This is where the real discipline is required. Consistency is great, but that's just level 1, bro. We're just getting started. I work with clients using the theory of constraints. Focus on the biggest problem first. Maybe it's form. Okay, let's focus on that for 2 or 3 weeks. Once that's covered, we go down the list. Maybe it's diet consistency. Okay, let's lock in on that. It's like trying to fill up a bucket that has a bunch of holes in it. Sure, you can pour in more water, and that would represent training more often, but...
Yeah, completely agree. Don't focus on the minutiae when you haven't got the basics down first. The basics being rest and recovery, intensity of training, and nutrition. Get those 3 things down first, and then maybe start looking at the tiny little details like, you know, protein timing and just all these little details that don't really matter in the big picture.
If you want to be the most efficient and make the most progress long term, it's best to just patch up those holes one by one. If going to the gym consistently was enough, everyone would have a good physique. But it's not that simple. So focus on your limiting factors, whatever they might be.
Ah! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Oh my God!
A lot of people learn how to brace, but they still get lower back pain. It's very common on squats or deadlifts, even if you have good form. The pain forces many beginners to stop training movements that require the lower back. It's a damn shame, because training these movements heavy gives such a great growth stimulus, and it's super fun. Nothing can replace the pure tension that lifting heavy will put on your back muscles and your leg muscles. I talk more about that in this video. You do not want to get into the habit of having a weak, soft, wishy-washy, flippy-floppy brace. That is a recipe for disaster in the future. You want your brace to be completely automatic and strong, to the point where you could do any crazy exercise and guarantee that you'll never get injured. Bracing is not fun.
Why are you doing these crazy exercises anyway? To show that you can Just, I mean, what's the point? So you can take a video and put it online, like, look what my back can take without snapping. What's the point? You just train, train the proper movements, the safe movements, with good form. Don't stop doing all this ridiculous shit and expecting your back to cope with it because you've done all these other exercises to strengthen it. Why are you testing it that much? Why are you provoking a back injury so much? I don't understand. I don't get it. Just be sensible with your training. Be sensible. Do the basic exercises with good form and don't try and train your ego. That's what it comes down to.
If you're doing it correctly, it should be uncomfortable. Because it's uncomfortable, a lot of people get into the habit of half-assing it. You need to train yourself to brace harder than you think is necessary. Pretend you're going for a heavy 1-rep max, even if you're doing an easy set of 5. Reset your breath on every rep of a squat or deadlift. This builds the habit of locking in your core. Eventually, this will become automatic and you don't even have to think about it. Drill this into all your lighter sets. A common mistake that people make is taking in as much air as possible, but that's not necessary. You'll be safer if you only take 50 to 75% of a full breath. Before every rep, tighten your core as if Mike Tyson himself was going to body you to the stomach. This should be uncomfortable. That's a good thing. It will keep you safe. Don't start using a belt until you've built a foundation of strength because it can hold back your ability to brace.
Yeah, you shouldn't be using a belt at all unless you're going for a heavy set of 5 reps or less, and it's your top working set. You should be training your core to be the belt. The belt shouldn't be necessary unless it's your top working set, and even then it shouldn't really be necessary, but it should be, I don't know, it should be there as a reminder for you to keep your core tight, if that makes sense. Because it's always down to you. You can't just put a belt on and expect everything to be fine. Well, I've got a belt on so I can squat a ridiculous weight because it's going to protect my back. No, you still need to use the belt to brace against and activate your core. It doesn't just happen because you've put a belt on.
Many lifters rely on the belt so much that they never fully build this capacity. I have only used the belt once in my life, and I'm going on 9 years of training. I'm not saying you need to be like me, but at least build your base before you start adding some extra equipment.
Progressive overload. It's actually called a progressive gradual overload. That's what...
Everyone knows that progressive overload is really important in the gym. If you want bigger muscles, your performance needs to be going up over time. I was lucky to learn this very early in my training career, but I took it too far. Every single exercise had to be a PR for me, otherwise I thought I wasn't training properly. This led to my form getting worse and worse progressively over time, and honestly, I was lifting weights that I had no business touching.
Yeah, that happened to me as well. I was just focused on getting stronger and stronger at very specific lifts, and I just wouldn't let myself change my program. I got to the point where I'd stalled after progressing for so much, and I just kept hammering at it, the same program, the same rep range for a couple of years at least, really. I don't know why. I don't know what I thought was going to happen. I don't know, maybe one day I'd just start progressing again and everything would be all right. But obviously that doesn't happen. Once you've gone a certain time with no progression, doing the same things every workout, you're not going to progress unless you change something. And especially if you're doing low reps every workout and pushing close to failure, it's you can basically stall just because you're frying your central nervous system. You just because you're that, I'm not going to say overtrained, but because overtraining is a fully systematic thing, it's quite a hard thing to accomplish. But more sort of under-recovering of the central nervous system, causing just lack of strength progression. And if you're focusing on strength progression and you're not allowing your CNS to recover, then you're not going to progress in strength. So I would have been a lot better off having more deloads or just changing to higher rep training, which is what I ended up doing, and that's why I ended up making progress again, is because I changed to higher reps. And I was still pushing to failure on every set, but because there were lighter loads that I was pushing to failure on, there wasn't hammering my nervous system every workout, and I was able to progress again.
A lot of people overestimate what they can accomplish in the next 3 to 6 months, but underestimate what they can accomplish in the next 3 to 6 years. It's okay to repeat workouts. It's okay to even go down in weight if you're not feeling the best. Not every set needs to go to grinding failure. As long as it's trending up, you're doing a good job. Don't be super uptight about progressive overload. This is really common amongst beginners. It should feel natural to move up in weight or to add a rep. Progressive overload should feel automatic. If every single workout is a brutal grind, you're probably pushing too hard. Do most of your heavy exercises 1 to 3 reps away from failure. This prevents early plateaus and helps you take full advantage of your newbie gains. You get to build momentum. Don't be in a rush to bench 225. Don't be in a rush to squat 3 plates. Don't be in a rush to curl the 40-pound dumbbells. The most important thing you can do at this stage is build your foundation.
We all think that life happens to me, right? Life happens for you. It happens for you.
Some of you watching this video have been training for a good long time, 2 years, 3 years, and you're still a novice. I know how it feels to put in the same work as everyone else, but not have the strength or the physique to show for it. Sometimes when this happens, people develop these really big limiting beliefs. It's something I talk about a lot with clients. People will say things like, I'm not genetically predisposed to put on a lot of muscle. These limiting beliefs are born out of frustration, obviously, but there's
no way to know that unless you've trained consistently with intensity for a good number of months or a couple of years at least. Because how do you know that? Just because you were skinny? Because you've been skinny for most of your life, you just assume that you're not going to be good at putting muscle on? There's no way to know that unless you've done everything that's needed to put muscle on efficiently for a good number of months or a couple of years, and then see the results, and then you can make the distinction of, am I good at putting on muscle or not? Until we get to that point, then it's just all conjecture and just guesswork.
also a little bit of arrogance. Do you really think your genetics cap out at a 2-plate squat? Really, bro? There's nothing you can do, no changes that you can make, it's all over. If you're being completely honest with yourself, you'll see that there's lots of room to improve your training, your diet, and where you put your focus. You could make enormous progress if you would just drop these limiting beliefs. They don't serve you, so you might as well just let them go. The crazy thing is, these beliefs might actually be true. It might be objectively harder for you to build muscle compared to the average guy. But the thing is, it doesn't help you in any way to believe that. Internalizing all these negative thoughts just makes it harder for you to do the work that's necessary. The happy, stupid idiot will usually make more progress.
It's an excuse that people can latch onto. People that don't want to put the effort in, they can just say, "Oh, well, it's genetics, bro. You know, I'm just not built for it." Or steroids. That's another thing people like to latch on. They say that anyone that looks good, anyone that's ripped or has any sort of size to them, it's just steroids, and that's the only reason they look like that. It's coping. Just keep coping.
Progress than the super analytical guy with all these limiting beliefs. I talk more about that in this video here. I don't know, how do I end the video?